For our visual audience, we need to issue a little bit of an apology. We had a little whoopsie when making this episode, and about 2 hours of recording in is when we discovered the whoopsie. So obviously, there will not be video for this episode, but thankfully, there's still audio. So put us on in the background, have a listen, and enjoy. He's walking into a room covered in fucking tinfoil. Yeah. He knows what kind of person he's dealing with.
He walks into a room covered in tinfoil and says, "Yo, you gonna hit this shit?"
What do you know about 2 certified bangers? PhantasmaCast.
Welcome back to PhantasmaCast, where we watch our favorite movies 2 at a time, and you should too. Today's double feature is 1981's Possession and 2006's Bug. These films take the will they, won't they trope of romantic comedies to new heights by asking not whether our 2 leads will finally hook up, but rather, will these 2 people kill each other by the time the credits roll? And before we get started, just a reminder that the best way to listen to new episodes as they release is to subscribe to PhantasmaCast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, YouTube, wherever you listen to the podcast, really. And you can catch us on Instagram or TikTok by looking up PhantasmaCast or at 2 Certified Bangers. Now, on with the show. And that will be starting with Possession, which is the movie that you were tackling today, Jake. Good luck, I should say, for folks who have not seen the movie. It's a trip. It is a trip. Us watching it together was the first time I've ever seen it. Mm-hmm. I've heard it come up constantly. And I'm like, yeah. It's one of those I'll get to it kind of movies.
And then the podcast made you get to it.
Exactly.
Probably before you were ready.
Yes. I don't think I'll ever be ready for the movie.
Ready. No one's ready for Possession.
But I enjoyed it tremendously. Despite how uncomfortable throughout it made me feel. Yeah. And will continue to make me feel.
This is the thing that made me want this movie. I'm holding up the Blu-ray, and the cover is this kind of, I don't know, it looks Medusa. Like stone-esque, but yeah, it's got Medusa. She's surrounded by tentacles, and one of the tentacles is like pinching her nipple. That's how I'm reading it.
And he's like, hello? Just glasses.
Yeah, the Rorschach test is either the tentacle's pinching her nipple or it's coming out of. Those are my 2 readings.
Oh.
You know?
Never thought about that until you said it.
Yeah, but then that gives it kind of like a species feel, and it's not species. Enough about the nipple.
No, I think we could do another 5 on the nipple.
Here's my type 5 on the Possession cover. So the text is so small. Hold on.
And it's a complete spoiler, by the way. Both of these movies, as always, total spoilers. So if you haven't seen them, go out and watch them first if you want to preserve that sense of not spoiling it. Because here we go. This is a complete spoiler for Possession.
Is it desire or violation? Devotion or bondage? Your hidden fears will be aroused.
Oh.
Set in the shadows of the Berlin Wall, infused with Cold War era paranoia and tension, Possession is a film that defies classification. One of the most tortured portraits of a disintegrating marriage ever presented on screen. True. Yeah. Visionary director Andrzej Zulawski masterfully blends horror and thriller conventions into an utterly unique cinema experience, drawing on his own traumatic divorce and creative blacklisting in his native Poland. Spy Mark returns to West Berlin after a mission to find that his wife, Anna, wants a divorce. Mark is played by Sam Neill, Anna by Isabelle Adjani. She's having an affair, but insists that that isn't the reason. When Mark hires a private detective to get to the truth, an even more disturbing secret is uncovered. Anna keeps a separate apartment housing an otherworldly, tentacled creature with a ravenous sexual appetite. So continues the descent into a nightmarish maze of jealousy, carnality, devoid of satisfaction, insanity, terror, and murder, where identity and reality are almost impossible to distinguish. Notorious for the demands it placed on its stars, Johnny's searing performance earned her the Best Actress award at Cannes in 1981. Savagely cut for the U.S. market by bewildered distributors and banned in the U.K. for almost 2 decades, it remains every bit as powerful and shocking today as it was on release. Back of the box gave away the entire story.
The whole thing. I did not know about this creature. So like it is one of the first credits that pops up, weirdly enough. It's like the creature designed by, and I'm like, hold up,
what creature? There's a creature in the, I mean, I know I saw the front of the box, but
yeah, I thought this was a divorce movie. Like, that's weird. But go off.
But you know, I think the movie, regardless of its plot and what happens in it, is very much about the experience watching it and the journey that these two characters go on in this, you know, they call it a divorce on the back of the box, but it is a savage breakup, I think, more than a divorce. There's nothing civil about it. You know what I mean? There's no paperwork going on. This is, it's horror. It's horrific what these two people go through in their kind of disintegrating relationship.
Yeah, it is like there's no normal aspect to it outside of like they have a child and they want to. That's like the grounding force of the movie. But the way they go about every single like tiff or grievance is so filtered through this lens of whatever the hell was like rattling around in his mind at the time, the writer director.
So on its face, Possession is the story of two people, Mark and Anna, who are, they're just so tragically not on the same page, you know, in their relationship with each other. Oftentimes when people are going through bad breakups, they feel as though their heart has been ripped out of their chest. You know, that is an image that, you know, that's evoked when you go through something like heart-wrenching like that, right?
Yeah.
So that's what this movie is, but like I think it savors the gore of that image of your heart being pulled out of your chest. The ripping flesh, the breaking bones, the kind of gelatinous sinew that just refuses to let go of the heart. And most importantly, it savors the pain of it all. You know, it is a very kind of painful movie to watch. Two humans kind of experiencing.
Yeah, and they're all constantly on their heels or like doing these like on their back foot, really, in defensive and so vile towards each other, and just like, oh, you slept with him, he was good, right? And they're screaming like at each other like this all the time. And I don't want to do it and like constantly peak the audio for you.
Well, do the
you know what this is for?
The lies. You wouldn't be wrong if you were tempted to call the film melodrama, right, or soap opera. Andrzej Zulawski certainly wouldn't shy away from that title, I don't think. Because he thinks that soap operas, this is him saying it, he thinks that soap operas are a sort of catharsis, and he wanted Possession to kind of be a soap opera, but to go beyond it and pull it into a dimension that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
What dimension?
The dark dimension. Yeah, I do ask.
Well, the one where the toxicity of their relationship festers into a bilious cancer, which Anna then births into an abyssal creature she must feed the flesh of her victims to so it can continue to fuck the shit out of her as it becomes the man Mark never was.
These are all his words?
No, those are mine.
Oh, okay.
So that's what this movie is, you know. At the beginning of the movie, it starts out like a typical relationship falling apart, and then it kind of descends into madness. And then it goes even deeper into that madness once you throw the kind of creature element into it. You have this this kind of sequence where Mark hires a private detective to follow Anna because she's being really shady about where she's spending her time.
Yeah, there's like this very odd breakdown of communication right from the jump, because I think one of the first things he says to her is like, "What do you mean you don't know?"
Yeah. Yeah. She's utterly failing to kind of articulate why she even wants to leave him, you know?
Yeah.
And the audience is bewildered too. We're kind of put in Mark's shoes and we're just like, well, I get that he's kind of an obsessive little bitch boy, but like...
I'm not saying forgive him, Anna.
Aside from that.
Yeah. But what is going on?
Yeah.
There's so much that she is struggling to articulate, and that is like really what, when she fully like comes back into the movie, after so much odd, weird shit goes down, that we do get her perspective from it. And it truly does feel like I don't know how to articulate what I feel, how I feel about you, about anything, but I just feel so, I think one of the lines she says is like, I don't know if I love anyone or anything. Mm-hmm. And she's like trying to like use a metaphor of like these two sisters of faith and chance to like kind of personify this struggle within her, and it's like tearing her apart, really.
Yeah, and it's pushing her away from, it's isolating her, really. And so Mark goes through a period where he's trying to figure out, you know, what's going on with her. He finds out that she has a lover, Heinrich.
That guy's awesome.
But then he realizes that she's not even with Heinrich, because he goes to confront Heinrich, and you know, he's like, I'm gonna, do you want me to kick the door down? And Heinrich's like, it is open, you know. That whole exchange. Yeah. So he has to hire a private detective to follow her, who does, and who, like, I feel like immediately blows his cover.
He's so bad. He's so bad at it.
Chasing after her, you know? And then when he gets too close, he tries to play it cool, you know?
Yeah. Maybe that is, with the factoring in the Cold War aspect of it, maybe that was like Zulawski's way of like kind of like poking fun at this whole like spy game element of like tailing someone, and just how on its face how ridiculous it is. Yeah. So just see someone so fucking bad at it is kind of cathartic to watch.
Yeah, and you see the movie's set in Berlin during the Cold War, right? So the Berlin Wall is up, and it's very present in the movie, right? Mm-hmm. Even so much as like the apartment where he eventually follows Anna to, the Berlin Wall is right in front of it, kind of curving out, you know? Yeah. So it's very present. It's very kind of, I feel like it, you know, Zulawski probably intended to say this, but it kind of feels like it's just kind of inserting itself into the city, into people's lives. And it serves as a kind of dividing force, which is cool in a movie about two people, you know, divided and unable to understand each other. Mm-hmm. When the
shitty detective,
shitty private detective, he comes up with this story to like get into the apartment, and his glass fell, and I own the building and I have to inspect it.
Yeah, he goes, building inspector. Here's my badge.
Yeah, and that whole sequence is really kind of anxiety inducing, because we don't yet know what's in the apartment. Right. We don't know what she's doing there, but it's an empty apartment, and she has this sort of hysterical kind of, you know, feeling about her the whole time. And he's like, I'm getting close to cracking the case, right? So he's a little giddy, and he's pretending to check the windows, but what he's really doing is like, what fucking guy is in here that you're fucking...
Yeah, he's waiting to open a door, and there's just a guy with a pillow over his crotch behind it, and be like, I found you. I knew it.
But instead he opens a door and finds this creature, this indecipherably shaped creature just in the bathroom.
It reminded me a lot of Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Yeah,
it's a pod.
It's kind. You get this. It's growing. You know, like it's in its first kind of larval stage, and when he discovers it, Anna kills him. She fucking stabs him with a broken bottle. So where does Possession come from as a movie, you know?
as a concept, as an idea.
Zulawski was raised in communist Poland, dividing his early filmmaking career between Poland and France, until the Polish government shut down production of his film on the Silver Globe. I think it was something like he got 2/3 of the way through filming it, and he tells this really interesting story about how in the Soviet Union, Lenin believed that cinema was the highest form of art. And so, unlike many other countries, there was actually a minister of cinema.
Damn.
Yeah, but, you know...
We should call ourselves that.
The ministers of cinema.
Yeah.
Rebrand. The minister of cinema's job under the umbrella of the Soviet Union was not so much to liberate filmmaking as to make sure or ensure that cinema's only purpose is to forward the tenets of the Communist Party.
Okay.
You know? And so, you know, when you have the guy who made Possession and he's making a movie, I can kind of see the minister of cinema in communist Poland kind of going, this does not forward the tenets of the Communist Party. I don't understand it, but your movie's shut down. So he consequently begins a sort of self-imposed exile and starts directing abroad. He was invited to New York City by an executive at Paramount. And he was put up in a hotel room for something like 2 months so he could write Possession. And so he based Possession on time that he spent in Warsaw, in Poland, on the other side of the wall, and the divorce from his wife. He thought the idea of a woman possessed without reverence for what was going on in Eastern Europe at the time was a great juxtaposition, you know? So you have this kind of interpersonal drama up against the backdrop of literally two ideologies kind of clashing at once in the form of a city.
Okay.
He says, Berlin was a divided city at the time. When the wall crumbled, everything changed, but the human heart didn't. It was a city of divided hearts, of divided lives. And so, you know, I think he's using Berlin, a city that itself is behind the Iron Curtain, but was divided in half between East and West, right? He says the film is autobiographical in its depiction of a relationship failing. And so that was based off of his own terrible, you know, divorce from his wife.
Okay.
But he said you needed something to transpose the story, something out of the ordinary to give it a mythic dimension. And so that's where the kind of madness and the gore and the creature, you know, come into play.
Right.
In the commentary, the interviewer asks him, "Can you tell me about Heinrich?" And he says, "I hate him."
Okay.
He says, "He's a guru. He's one of these intelligent people who discovered a way out of the dreary normalcy. And I don't know what sect he's in, maybe his own. And he knows. And Sam Neill looks so foolish not knowing. He makes love so much better than Sam Neill. He does everything better, best. And I hate him because he's totally wrong. This guy's dangerous, and he's as lost as everyone else." So
Okay.
I think the way his divorce went down is his wife did have an affair with a person who was like a Heinrich character.
Yeah.
You know?
It's amazing what kind of empathy he is still able to give that character, despite the story behind it. Because yeah, like I was watching it again, and one of my favorite parts of that initial scene when Mark confronts Heinrich is He's like, oh yeah, this is a nice place you got here, right? He's like, yes, I live with my mother, And there's like books on every wall, basically.
Yeah.
And he just like runs his hand along the spines of the books. He's like, so this is how you've changed her, Just like what it implies about like, oh, this is your worldview. Reading, a different perspective. Interesting how you do that to my fucking wife while your mom's home, you animal. And he's like, but of course.
And so he just presents himself as this like evolved man. And it's like I think the joke of Heinrich is like brought ultimately through when he punches Mark. Mark tries to get in an altercation with him,
At their place or at Heinrich's place?
At Heinrich's apartment.
Okay.
But like the way Heinrich is obviously it's stronger than Mark, can kick Mark's ass, right?
He's more fit.
But he's just like, why did you push me to the violence? You know? It's like, I'm obviously a superior male, but why did you push me? And so he does that kind of thing when he punches him. He kind of like does that like recentering thing, and
he's like on one leg like a flamingo, just like
just kind of like a nondescript like yogi kind of thing. So I love that Heinrich is this joke of the man that kind of made him a cuckold,
Yeah. And then my favorite Heinrich joke is when he sees the creature, when Anna introduces him to the creature, and he just like, because there was some like spiel of his about like God and religion, like what he thinks. He's like, Mark, what do you think God is? Do you believe in God, kind of thing? And then when he sees the creature, he just goes, ah. And he's like blind. He's like temporarily blind, like he's seen a biblically accurate angel. And he's just nah. So like his whole worldview crumbles upon seeing whatever Anna's going through, right? Mm-hmm. So that is a pretty good joke there too. That he's over here like, dude, I've got mushrooms. The pipe lane is going to be out of this world. And then she's like, let me show you something out of this world. Ah!
I think it's true that in a disagreement as fueled by passion as a breakup is, people often lack the ability to articulate just what exactly they're feeling, So you see a lot in this film where Mark is trying desperately to get some kind of explanation from Anna, and she can never quite put it into words. We talked about that before. She's very kind of she comes in to the apartment quite a bit,
and leaves just as abruptly.
Exactly. And so like this, of course, drives Mark into sort of madness. There's an obsessive madness about wanting to understand like what the fuck is happening to us. Alexandra Heller-Nichols has a great video essay called The Failure of Language, which is on the Umbrella 4K that like explores this idea. She says, when we think of possession, we remember the screaming. The words give shape to the screams, but the words aren't working. The volume isn't helping. So instead of articulating her emotional state with words, Anna's is a very physical performance that runs the whole spectrum of emotion. There are really great shots rendered by the director of photography in this movie that show Anna giving a sort of gentle smile of genuine affection. You can think of that shot, right?
Mm-hmm. After she slaps him, that one.
A maniacally mocking grin, cutting into her own neck to kind of express anguish in one of the series of arguments that they're having. That scene where Anna either gives birth to or miscarries a creature in the metro, which it just goes on. It's like that scene in Irreversible which
I still haven't seen.
The scene is like almost happening against your will, and she's just freaking out and you know inherently as a human when you watch that, like something horrible is going on in this woman's mind. But you really just can't put words on that, you know? And then even the way at the end of the movie, when she kills herself, it's such a unique, do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, she like takes the gun and
Yeah,
like
she
shoots her
holds it.
spine.
Yeah, it's so unique, which I think it emphasizes the finality of that act, you know?
Yeah.
It's like her one last, you know, expressive expression of her anguish. Yeah. Heller Nicholas says, pain is a kind of suffering words can never quite fully communicate, leaving the person in pain desperately isolated. Ajani's remarkable achievement in this film is that for a brief moment, her body evoked an insight into the experience of suffering that words have rarely ever achieved. And where Mark's language is the language of calculating logic, right? He's a spy. That slowly gives way to madness itself. Where in the beginning of the movie, he's trying to kind of talk it out with Anna. Or like he even goes so far as to give her space so that she can realize her mistake and try and convince her, you know, to come back home.
Yeah.
By the middle of the film, he's really kind of feebly like trying to pick fights with Heinrich, you know, which he loses. And then
just because that like makes sense to him.
Well, yeah, like he's pushed to such a stage where now he's like, okay, this man's challenged my manhood. I'm not gonna be polite anymore, you know?
Yeah, let's see if this intellectual can go for one of these, and then gets his shit wrecked.
By the end of the movie, he's a man of action, right? He kills Heinrich, making it look like an overdose. He's burning the apartment that the creature was in to eliminate, you know, the evidence of the murders she committed. He's ramming taxi cabs into police cars.
Yeah.
He's crashing motorcycles.
He's trying to dispose of Margie, right?
Yeah,
the friend.
Yeah. So he's no longer trying to make sense of the situation. He's acting purely in a way to, to please her, to become, I think, the man that he thinks that she wants him to be.
Yeah, because she's not giving him anything, or she is like, she's placating him, really, like, oh, you want me to like stick around for Bob, but I can't stand like you touching me, like sure, I'm a whore, you know, I fuck around on every corner, and like that's not enough for him because he knows it's not true, but she's just trying to hurt him so he'll leave her alone, and he's just relentless. He will not leave her alone. And he knows that, well, he doesn't know shit, but he suspects that like she's off with Margie or off with Heinrich, and she'll leave a note being like, I'm out with friends just to be alone. And he's like, well, you said you left a note and said you were with your friends. And she's like, I just wanted to be alone. And he's like, but why? And she's like, fuck you. That's why, you know? There's like this whole aspect. I'm going to commandeer it to be what I wanted to talk about for that, actually, is this their whole viewpoints. They have two diametrically opposed viewpoints, I feel, during this whole breakup, this separation. And he wants normalcy. She can't stand the idea. Something has penetrated her consciousness. And she's like, normalcy is a fucking joke. Like, I never wanted it. It has been forced upon me. Fuck all of that. I don't want it. I don't want any part of it. I just want to be rid of all of it. And he's like, but think of Bob, but think of me, but think of us. Because that's what he thinks of when he sees their son, Bob. He sees her. And that's how when we were watching, I'm like, what the fuck's up with that? This is how I've stewed on
beholds Bob.
Yeah, those two shots of like the camera being behind Bob and Anne, and Mark is in the background, like undressing them, and he like lifts his hands up to kind of like inspect them, like inspect their rib cage, or just kind of behold them. And when I saw that happen, when he did that to Bob, I was like, interesting. But that made sense in the context because he had just come back from like a bender of weeks of not being around at all, just seemingly like being like, oh yeah, my heart has been ripped out. Oh God, just doing whatever in a motel. And he comes back. Bob's been alone for weeks. And it's so devastating just to see a kid like just
covered in jelly and shit.
Yeah, just like fingering out the last bit of food from the jar, from the cupboards, because even mom hasn't been back because she wants to get away from it all. But I think Mark assumed that just as the mother, of course she would come by to take care of our son, which says so much more about Mark than it does about her, is that he thinks he can just fuck off with no consequences. But yeah, he does that like regarding of Bob. And then I think later on in that scene when Anna comes back, they have a fight. Naturally, George Lucas, they fight. And then when he's dressing her down, he does the same thing. So I interpreted that as he is trying to square this idea of their identities being tied in his mind. Mm-hmm. They are not individuals. They are intrinsically linked through like blood, and I don't think she thinks that way. She can still, or maybe she does, and that's why she has to get away. It's because she loves her son, but she can't stand Mark. So she sees him in him and just needs to get away. So like, I think there's a line in the cafe when they're kind of like sitting, not even across from each other, not next to each other, but at odds, really, like on that corner.
Oh yeah, it's a very specifically framed shot.
And he's starting to be like, oh, I'm sure you think this is normal, but what about Bob? Like, it's already fucked up enough for him as it is. And he starts getting aggressive and violent, and swiping things off the table. And then she says something to the effect of, oh, it would be so much easier if one of us was evil. Mm-hmm. But
and then
there is no good or evil.
She's like, I'll be that if that's the case. Yeah. Yeah.
And she's like, how about this if you want me to be evil? Like, I wish I would have known about him before I met you and had Bob with you. And that's what causes him to like explode and start throwing chairs all over the place. And then like the chefs come back, which we found funny, that they have to come out and restrain him. There's like 5 guys to come and get him. He's a stringy little guy. Listen, you don't need that many guys. You need one Heinrich to take care of one Mark. One Heinrich defeats one Mark. And I don't know if that answered the question you had, but that's kind of how I see their whole, their arc, their fight throughout the whole film. Really, is these two intrinsically opposing viewpoints about what their life is and what they want from it. And it's just they are rubbing up against each other the whole movie. So a spark is going to happen at some point. There's that whole very interesting, I still don't know what to think of it, segment where he's watching like a film reel, right? And I think it's Heinrich filming. Could be wrong about that. Some man is filming her in like a dance studio.
And then it becomes a flashback almost.
Yeah, or like a confession tape of some sort. 'Cause she is addressing the camera, but she is talking either to the camera person, this other man, about Mark, or talking to Mark through him.
This is after she like forces the ballerina to like fuck up her foot,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like hold a position she wasn't comfortable holding.
Yeah.
And she's like, I never had anyone do that to me.
Yeah.
I never had anyone push me to see what I was capable of. And that's what you need to like be a success. And she's like, she's like using that to frame her grievance with how she is now. It's like, no one pushed me. Someone has always spoken for me. Like you, when you say I, you mean me too. Like there is no separation. I am not my own person. I am just a person to be filled with whatever your desires are.
Right.
So like there's a lot going on outside of the screaming and the creature and all that other stuff. There's plenty of stuff going on in this movie. So yeah, I don't have a clean.
No, but I mean the point is that she's rejecting his need to possess her, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And she can't tell him that in any way he's going to understand,
Right.
you know?
Right. It's not what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I love you. We have a son.
They're speaking different languages, you know?
It's not going to get through.
That's ultimately, I think, what like the tortured soul of Zulawski is attempting to express with this movie, right? That like the violence and the betrayal, the breakup, the divorce, that made him a cuckold, you know, is what's going on in this movie. The only possible way that these two people could be separated is through a sort of violence. And we haven't really even touched on the whole doppelganger aspect
So glad you brought it up.
that's going on.
Here we go.
And my interpretation of it is that the doppelgangers are sort of the ideal versions of each other. Where Anna's
Weird.
doppelganger, the teacher, is kind of subservient. She's a caring mother, you know. She's everything Mark wants from Anna, which Anna rejects.
Yeah.
And then the creature, the man that eventually becomes the creature that eventually becomes Mark's doppelganger.
Yeah.
Is kind of strong and mysterious and could live without Anna, and so I think that's what she lusts for in a man, you know.
Right. Totally valid. I love those interpretations of it. But then the ending is so weird because I don't know where there's like a clean like break point for my theory of the ending.
Yeah.
But I have to imagine it's like it's right before Mark gets shot. Anna's in Margie's apartment or house or whatever, and then Mark goes there, but then there's already like police there or some kind of like authority there, and he decides, all right, I need to do something rash. He pulls out his gun. He just gets a taxi, tells the woman in there to go fuck off with the gun, and then immediately puts the gun up to the guy's neck and is like, drive as fast as you can into that police car. And he's like, all right, you're the boss.
You got it.
But then, like, you know, before the cars collide, Mark jumps out. Cars collide, the driver just fucks off. Then, like, the police and some guy with an eye patch. All these details don't really matter all that much. They start shooting at Mark as he's running away because he's caused enough of a scene.
Yeah.
For that to be their directive now instead of, I don't know, maybe busting into Margie's place because they have a lead of some sort. And he gets shot in the back a few times, but not enough to incapacitate him completely. He fires back, gets on Heinrich's bike, drives away. But then at the same time, Anna comes out in the blue, I forget what kind of car it is, but like that blue car with Margie in the trunk. She backs out, rams a police car. Margie pops out of the trunk, and then she drives off. So I think that's a clean breaking point for my theory that everything that happens after that is kind of like Mark's psychosis as his like last moments alive, about like what his idealized version of it, but like mixed with like his nightmare of what that creature could be.
Okay.
Because then he finds his way into this building with like this huge ostentatious staircase that's going up and up and up, and he's just bleeding out as he's like walking up it for some unknown reason. I have no idea why he's ascending these stairs. Maybe he's dying, going to heaven, who knows? Anyways, so he's bleeding out on like the banister or whatever, but you see down at the bottom, Anna's there, and she is elated to see him now, which is not quite right.
Yeah. Out of character.
Out of character, yeah. And he's kind of like puking up blood and be like, how did you find me? And she's just like, how could I not? You know, so reverent towards him. Like, of course I found you, Mark. And I've got something to show you. It's ready.
Yeah.
And it's the doppelganger of Mark now. And they did something to his eyes, some kind of contact lens or something like that, because Samuel's got those blue eyes and they've been darkened somewhat.
It's there's a story there. It's another fuck up on the special effects part.
Really?
They were supposed to match the lenses that Anna's doppelganger.
The green?
Yeah.
No.
But something got fucked up. I don't know whether it was like a film color timing issue or the contact lenses were off color. He didn't have enough time to reshoot it.
He didn't have 6 weeks.
Yeah.
to get those lenses. Yeah.
So, but they were supposed to match Anna's doppelganger. Does that change your theory a bit?
No, because that's the thing I still can't square with my theory is that if this is Mark's, like, whatever's firing, the neurons firing off in his brain as he's about to bite the dust.
Yeah.
You know, is his wife coming up to him, but then, you know, it's a nightmare, so it's a little fucked up that she brought this other guy, looks just like him. It's kind of fucked up, and he can't kill him because as he goes to shoot him, like the police down below have somehow been able to just pepper them up above, and by them I mean Anna and him.
Yeah.
So they're both bleeding out. Yeah, on the stairs. But then she has enough like willpower to like grab the pistol and like shoot herself in the spine, and then collapse.
Yeah. Which presumably the bullet gets both of them too, because she's laying on top of him.
Yeah, but he's still alive though. After
alive enough to climb over the rail and throw himself down.
Yeah. Yeah, after the doppelganger calls him a brother of some sort. I forget what his line is, but it's just, you're still kind of like shocked by everything that you're seeing currently and you've felt before. And then the doppelganger Mark convinces this woman to like hold a pistol while he's like, all right, you're going to lift me up out of this. I'm getting out of here, you know?
Yeah.
Like, get me out of this sunroof or whatever. All to, it seems, go back to Helen, Anna's doppelganger, who is now watching Bob. And there's just like a knock at the door or something like that. And Bob just knows something. He's like, don't open it. Don't open the door. And she's like, but it could be your father. And he's like, no, don't open it. Don't open the door. Don't. He just keeps insisting on that. And she's like, okay. She's just like, oh, just kid stuff. And he runs up to the bathtub that's filled with water and just kind of plunges into it and just stays submerged into it.
Yeah.
And he almost just looks like dead. He's kind of like, it evokes the same image of the dead dog in the river.
Yeah.
Which then ties into Mark's spiel about the dog who crawls under the porch to die. That he said he followed the dog down there to be like, what's the dog doing down there? And like watched it die. And it gave out a little yelp as if it saw something real, I think is what his words were. So that's why I think this is kind of like his dying moments of he sees something he'd want to see of Anna coming to him in his dying moments and then yelped like, oh, but there's an evil me out there and it's going to go and kill my son. I don't know. Very loose theory. This is all just...
I mean, there's very little text in the movie at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't have a clean theory as to what Helen's role in that or what the shared eye color could be.
Yeah.
Probably blows that theory out of the water.
Well, I don't know, because at the same time, the movie ends with like an apocalypse happening outside, you know, and with Mark kind of like hovering behind her like this, you know.
But it sounds like the bombs are being dropped. Like there's an air raid siren going off and stuff.
Yeah. So, So I don't know, maybe it's like a fucking Antichrist situation where like they shouldn't have all been brought together or else, you know?
Yeah.
No, it's a trippy movie. I still struggle to understand exactly what's trying to be said. But I think that's the point, you know?
Yeah. And that's totally fine for movies to do that. I'm not saying every movie should do that, but it's refreshing to have a movie challenge your preconceptions of what it's going to be, where it's going, just like these dynamics that we take for granted of like the happy family, the divorce and stuff like that. I don't know. Weird ass movie. I'm glad we watched it together though, and I saw it for the first time in real time. You could see me go, "What the fuck?" Yeah. Oh, I love this shit. And then, oh, interesting. I got a lot to chew on after experiencing that end for the first time.
Possession, a fantastic film. We didn't even talk about the cinematography of it, which itself I think deserves a whole podcast. But
Agree.
No, yeah, it is such a gem of a film, and I'm glad that this cover made me want to watch the movie because it's a wild ride.
Totally.
But so is our other movie.
Oh boy. So, Bug, right? My first experience with this movie, I was not old enough to see it in the theaters when it came out in 2006. And I will call them out. I'm sorry. I need to call you guys out for this. But my parents went and saw this in the theaters, and I was aware of it through that. And I went, how is it? When they got back, absolutely hated it, destroyed it. They're like, it's the worst piece of shit I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, dang. From the Exorcist guy? No.
Yeah.
I'm like, dang. Well, you can't win them all.
Same exact experience.
Really?
Yeah. My parents were like, it was nothing like the trailers.
Well, I mean, there is a very misleading like tagline for it. First, they send their drone, then they find their queen.
Yeah.
Bug.
No, it was marketed as kind of like a creature feature, you know?
Yeah.
And you're like, ooh, they've got fucking bugs growing in them. But it is not that. It is not that movie.
Marketing can make or break a movie, regardless of the quality of it.
Yeah, you can't trick people into seeing a movie that's not the movie that they're going to see.
Tron Ares. This thing will age like milk. But anyways, Bug. Let's dive into it. Got the Kino Lorber 4K release of it. This is pretty recent. I think either this year or last. Very, very recent.
Pretty recent.
I was like, hey, dude, we're going to talk about it. They just did a re-release for it. Let's get it. So brand new HDR, blah, blah, blah. Actually, I'm going to skip all that. Who gives a shit about that? HDR from a 4K scan of the 35 millimeter original camera negative? No, that is interesting. But into the text of the movie. Ashley Judd, Twisted, and Michael Shannon, The Shape of Water, give searing performances in this skin-crawling exercise in fear and paranoia from The Exorcist director, William Friedkin. Oklahoma waitress and Aggie, Judd, lives a largely solitary life in a rundown motel, haunted by a tragic past and hounded by her ex-con ex-husband, Harry Connick Jr., Copycat. But when she sparks a romance with Peter, Shannon, an eccentric drifter, she starts to feel hopeful again. Until Peter reveals that he was a victim of government experimentation that left blood-hungry aphids festering under his skin. The couple begins to obsess over the nightmarish idea that they are infected by insects. A controversial, claustrophobic love story. Bug is, quote, a minor masterpiece of tension and insanity, from The Guardian. Adapted by Tracy Letts, who did Killer Joe and August Osage County, from his play. Yes, that is that. So, Bug. Despite the glowing reviews from our parents, we decided to go see this on our own. And my personal opinion of it is, it rocks. I freaking love it. Some like now, like early Michael Shannon, really, who just dominates every scene he's in. Ashley Judd is terrific in it too.
I think this is the movie that introduced me to Michael Shannon, and I was
Yeah.
like, this kid's got the goods. You know?
Yeah. Just cigar coming out of your mouth. Hold up.
I'm 9 years old.
You're the baby in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Give me that kid. He's got the goods. Yeah, Bug. So where we start is, I think it's weird that the back of the box uses her nickname Aggie, because she goes by Agnes a lot in this movie, more than Aggie. Aggie is what Harry Connick Jr.'s character calls her.
Yeah.
Which is the meanest form to refer to her on the back.
It's the most diminutive,
Yeah.
you know?
But Agnes is like living in a motel alone, and just kind of seemingly drifting through life at the start of this movie. And then, you know, she works as a waitress in a bar with her friend RC, and RC is like, "Hey, going to this party tonight. Something? Would you want to go?" And she's like, "Nah, I'm not one for parties." She's like, okay, I hear you, but you got to meet this guy. Like, I think you guys would hit it off. And that guy ends up being Peter, Michael Shannon, and her, RC, and Peter congregate at Agnes's motel for the night. They're doing a bunch of drugs, just hanging out, like pre-gaming, really, before this like party.
Yeah.
And then something happens in RC's like personal life, like her girlfriend's kid. Something's going on with him.
Yeah, she's got to go.
I gotta go. So she goes, but she's like, all right. There's already kind of an heir to Peter at this point. We haven't seen him too much. He's just been in the bathroom a whole lot.
Kind of get like he's like a lurker. He's got like a lurker sensibility to him.
Yeah. And like, I think Agnes called him like, oh, what if he's an axe murderer or something like that? And when he comes out of the bathroom, he just mumbles, "I'm not an axe murderer." You barely even hear it. And he like kind of approaches them further while they continue to have their A-B conversation. And he again goes, "I'm not an axe murderer." She's like, "Well, what the fuck did you just say? Like, why are you saying that?" He's like, "Well, I overheard you in the bathroom." He's like, "Well, I didn't literally mean it, you know?"
Yeah.
And then he immediately follows up with like, "You're very pretty." And she's like, "Oh, stop." Like, I don't take compliments well, axe murderer.
It's so funny to me though, because like she does everything right up front, right? She's like, "I don't know about this guy. I don't know about you bringing this fucking guy around." But then almost immediately like is disarmed by him. I don't know how, because he's a fucking weirdo, but
Yeah. So I did listen to the director's commentary for this, Friedkin. He virtually does like a play-by-play of the entire movie, which maybe sounds boring, but it is not boring. Listen to him expertly analyze and just mull over each moment, each important moment of the movie, with very little to no like tangential stories. He is so dialed in.
So it's
amazing.
He's character. He's full on character. Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I will eventually bust out a Friedkin voice at some point in this. But he's very measured in how he talks, really. You know, he's like, Michael Shannon is probably the best actor I've ever seen on the stage. So when I got him, he talks in that cadence throughout the entire.
Got the goods.
This kid's got the goods. I pulled my cigar out of my mouth. His perspective on why they like click right away is because she already started. Well, actually, let's back it up a little bit. His whole idea, his thesis for the movie, or what attracted him to the story to begin with, was the subject of the mask of sanity, is what he says. He says, the subject of the mask of sanity. A theme. I'm doing such a terrible William Friedkin.
Nah, keep it going. I'm laughing at it.
Here. Like I gotta tune my voice to it. You know what I'm gonna say, I think. Do you believe in God, Darren? Which I listened to that again. I'm referencing a interview between Friedkin and Darren Aronofsky for the film Mother. And
Do you believe in God, Darren?
And I thought that occurred so much earlier. I thought that was like one of the first things he says to him. He's like, all right, welcome. You know, everyone just saw the movie. And he's like, great. Do you believe in God, Darren? I thought he hit him with that immediately. No, this is like way later when he's trying to get like a more direct answer out of Aronofsky, because he kind of goes off and answers it in his own way. And he's like, no. He's like, he almost does what Michael Shannon does here with like, it's a yes or no. The presence of bugs, absence of bugs. Which I want to read the full quote later. But the theme of this in Friedkin's mind is a story of someone who seems relatively normal and has it all together, but has the seeds of evil within them. He says that's really the theme of all of his movies, or at least the good ones. He also has an idea, a preconception of what movies of his are good. He's like, I know I've made bad movies. And there's a separate interview, not the audio commentary, but there's an interview with him where the interviewer is like trying to get that out of him. He's like, what would you consider the bad ones? He's like, I'm not going to say them.
He's like, I know what they are.
Yeah, we know what they are. If you've seen them, you know what they are. Okay, picture this. White hair, tan leather jacket, aviator, eyeglasses. That's Friedkin in this interview. And I love his little aesthetic of like, oh, you've seen it. If you've seen the pictures, like, you know what the bad ones are. I'm not going to name it. There's my work is like a body of work. I don't have favorites, but I know what the bad ones are, and so do you. kind of attitude about his work.
Yeah.
But he's always talking about good, evil, that little thin line between the two, and how everyone has germs of good and evil within them. And his fascination is why some people act on that evil instead of, being more introspective and trying to like keep it in check or counterbalance it with good. Mm-hmm. They give in to the evil. So from the beginning, when Agnes is getting like those calls with no one on the other line, right?
Yeah.
She's constantly getting phone calls, and she's picking them up. She's like, Jerry, is that you? Oh, you son of a bitch. Like, I told you not to call here. Like, I don't give a damn about you. And eventually it escalates to, I've got a gun. And hangs up. But he says her life is already filled with irrational fear and loneliness in almost impoverished circumstances. There's the phone calls. There's like the mess in her motel room, which is contained enough. But he just says like all these little objects that make up her life are so already on the edge of breaking, more or less. They're barely held together.
Yeah. I don't know if it's set design or just that beautiful combination of set design and acting, but the way she interacts with her apartment is so real.
Yeah, it is very lived in.
Yes.
I know she knows where everything is.
Yes.
In that.
I don't think I personally was ever as like in dire straits as Agnes in this movie.
Right.
But at my poorest state ever, there were things I recognized in her apartment. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And there's like other examples of this before she meets Peter, right? We're gonna circle back to why her and Peter clicked, but Friedkin explains there were signs. That's what the whole beginning of the movie is.
Right.
Is showing these cracks that are about to, rupture, really. And when she leaves the motel for the first time, she notices like that little ad, that flyer on her car.
Yeah.
And we get like a shot of all the other cars in this row. They don't have that flyer.
Yeah.
It's just her.
Because her car's the shittiest. Well, that's how I read it.
Or she's being targeted, right? Someone's out to get her. It's not spoken.
That feeds an inherent paranoia she has.
Yeah, there is that paranoia lurking under the surface of, well, why don't the other cars have it? So she crumples it up and tosses it. She doesn't think of it again.
Yeah.
But that germ is
that's
already
great.
there.
That where a normal person like me would have gone, oh, it's because my car is dirty and you know, she fucking internalizes that shit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. So just like she's internalizing these phone calls, we never know who calls her. She already has a preconception of who it is,
Right.
and what it's about,
Right.
and is mad, and is like, not that she doesn't have it rough, right? And this is probably, for lack of a better word, she's the victim of these phone calls, really, which could be a metaphor for something else, right? For her mental illness, really.
Yeah.
Or what is troubling her mentally, I should say. And then we really get like the one that sticks in everyone's mind and is text and comes back frequently is when she goes to the grocery store, and she gets startled by that guy at the liquor shelf or whatever. He's just reaching over to grab a bottle. Of course, all up in her space, really. He's like, "Oh, excuse me," but she's like, "Oh," she's very jumpy.
Trauma response.
Yeah.
Right. Because I don't know. I don't know if it's because I'd seen the movie before, but like you immediately understand her ex-husband was physical with her, was physically violent with her.
Yeah. And Friedkin says all men in her life.
Yeah.
So that is like a deeper character thing that is for the acting, but is never like text.
Right.
Outside of the current ex-husband. But then that immediately leads right into this little sequence, but very important, of her focusing in on a red onion. And then she visualizes, or we at least cut away to an empty shopping cart next to like a bubblegum dispenser. And I think we have little touches in the sound design of like a child laughing.
Yeah.
And that's enough. That's enough to communicate right away. She had a kid.
She had a kid, and the kid is no longer present.
Yeah. So that is where she's at. She's barely existing. She's got these little paranoias bubbling under the surface, and we have a very good reason why. So then when Peter comes into the story, and RC leaves him alone, there's that little awkward interaction, how it's always awkward to make small talk with a stranger, but then he's like compounding it with his inherent awkwardness. And she's trying to like offset it with some humor, and like her defense mechanisms of being like left alone with a strange man. That's a lot. That's a lot for her to ask. So of course she's going to behave this way.
Yeah. There's a little bit of like appeasement in there. If she flat out calls him a weirdo or something, maybe she's afraid he'll get violent with her, right? So she kind of just like makes it so she tries to make it so non-controversial,
Yeah. She does like make a jab at him that just goes right over his head too. I forget what it was.
Yeah.
No. I know what it was. He's like, "I'm from Beaver." And she's like, "Aren't we all?" He's like, "I don't reckon I follow." She's like, never mind.
Yeah.
But when they go back inside and he's already obsessing over something. There's like a painting on the wall, like a default painting that's in like any motel, really.
Yeah.
And he's like, "There's something hidden in here. There's like people in here. You can't see it, but I know they're there." And she's like, "Oh, I never thought about it like that." She's kind of like she's entertaining. She's like, "Oh, that's interesting," kind of thing. But then he's like, "There's a chirp of some sort." He's like, "What was that? Do you hear that?" Mm-hmm. She's like, "Kind of." So she's very easily falling into his what Friedkin says is his worldview. He doesn't use words like trauma or mental illness and stuff like that. And he's like, this is his worldview. This is how he sees things. And she's very like sucked into it tragically very easily.
Yeah, I mean that painting, it's like the first thing that kind of opens the door, I think, for him, that like, oh, she's very easily convinced, right? Like she doesn't even do a double take. She doesn't try to even find the thing he's talking about in the painting or try to like go against him in any way. She's just like, huh, that's interesting, Yeah.
She humors him a little bit, but then truly goes along with the chirping
Yeah.
of the cricket. And like, maybe it's a cricket or something like that. And she's like, well, don't kill it if you see it. And he's like, why not? He's like, who thought of that? Or something like that. And she says, I don't know, some smart ass cricket, I bet. So she's still got those like humor defense mechanisms now, but they're quickly going to fade away. But then they signal it down to a smoke detector, right? And he takes care of it.
He's like, you
knocks it
gotta
out.
get rid of that.
yeah, we got to get rid of that. And she's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Gives into him. Sure, take it down. You don't live here, but sure, take it down.
Yeah.
You know? And then that just leads to another thing. Like the dominoes continue to fall very rapidly. And they're so innocuous at first. And that's what's like the true horror in Friedkin's mind is how quickly it can happen. Because then, there's something in the smoke detector that is poisoning you, that is killing you. She's
Yeah.
like,
She's
that's
like,
why
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's why I feel like shit all the time. And you said something that's like, oh yeah, it's definitely not the drugs and the drinking and the partying.
Yeah.
It's the thing in the smoke detector that this asshole, this stranger just enlightened you about. The image of the rotating ceiling fan, the use of the ceiling fan, and like the flyover shots of the motel. I love that because not the very first shot of the movie, because that's someone dead in a room that's covered in tinfoil.
Right.
It's a very brief, like 2-3 second max shot.
Little foreshadow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before we jump into the movie proper with this flyover shot of a very barren Oklahoma landscape. We're dialing into this motel. And on the way, we hear the phone ringing and her picking it up, not hearing a voice on the other end and hanging up. But we get a very brief overlay of a ceiling fan. And it's almost like you blink and you miss it kind of thing. Mm-hmm. It's very intentionally put in there to give that sense of paranoia to us as a viewer. Like, did I just see that?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And
especially since later the ceiling fan is connected to the sound of helicopters flying above.
Right.
And
right.
It's tying into Michael Shannon's paranoia of the military or some sort of governmental forces surveilling him constantly.
Exactly. Yeah. See, you get it. You get it, right? And there's like this moment where that flyover shot is specifically inserted during a conversation between RC and Agnes, where it breaks up the flow of conversation so unnaturally.
Yeah.
That you're kind of like, wait, what was that about too? And then it ties into these ideas of like we're being watched. So now that establishing shot is like potentially a character in the reality of this movie of like no, that is a helicopter
that
watching
is a
them.
POV shot, not an establishing shot.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh no, like it's totally reframing our reality with these images. Uh-huh. And it's a good ass movie because of that. Just using the image to communicate this stuff in very interesting ways. Then the ceiling fan, like you said, comes up like that. It is also cut to when there's these two specific moments where the whole entire motel, and it feels like the earth is like quaking and out of control, and like things are flying across the room. Maybe not flying across the room, but like falling off of shelves. It is just like the room is being shook like a snow globe. Yeah. Kind of thing. And that first moment happens, and we cut to the ceiling fan going absolutely nuts while there's helicopter noises and like a spotlight seemingly like fanning in the background or whatever. That moment comes after they kind of have a fight for the first time, Agnes and Peter, after, he introduces the idea of there being bugs after they've had sex. Mm-hmm. And she's like, because he freaks out when she wants to like get to know him a little bit more, like personally, outside of, their trauma bonding, more or less. He's like, I don't want to tell you that. Like, I can't tell you that. And he like leaves, and she's like, "Fuck! I knew it not to trust another guy like this. I can't believe I keep making these mistakes. And then she goes to the bathroom to kind of like cry, get it all out. Peter comes back, and he, through the door, like kind of confesses some stuff, like lets her in a little bit. Whether it's true or not,
Yeah.
we don't know. He just says something, but that unlocks something within her. You know what I mean? And then later on, the ceiling fan, room shaking kind of thing is used at the very end when Goss is trying to get in to their like completely like tinfoiled, bug light lit motel, and the room starts shaking again as they're like barricading the door with the mattress and the box spring. And then like the swarm of bugs you can hear but cannot see. You do not see a single bug in this movie. In the hotel, in the reality of the movie, I should say. There are like visual flashes of bugs, but there's like a swarm above them, and they both like look up like in awe, and they start to spin themselves like a ceiling fan too. It's crazy. This movie's crazy, man. But let's, and I want to talk about some specific like lines from the movie that do make me laugh. There's one where it's like shortly after they've first had sex, but they haven't quite gone full psychosis yet. They have like fly traps everywhere in the motel. And Peter is alone using what you correctly clocked as a child's microscope to look at his blood that he's just like picking from everywhere.
Yeah.
And Goss, Harry Connick Jr., breaks in by like credit carding the door.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
He gets in, and then him and Peter have a back and forth just to be like, hey, where's Aggie?
Yeah.
You know, like, what the fuck are you doing here anyways? What does she see in you? Like, what's your story? Like, you're weird kind of thing. Like, I don't know what it is about you, but you're weird. You remind me of someone. But then after that, he goes over to Peter, who's like looking in the microscope. He's like, what are you looking at here? Basically, he's like, my blood. There's bugs in it. Bugs in the blood. He's like, okay. Looking in that. And he pulls back and he goes, okay, so you're pretty much just jerking off here, aren't you? Which is a great way to say you're so full of shit. I don't know. There's nothing happening here.
Right. His Peter's like psychosis, it does not work on Harry Connick Jr. No. You know? Whereas Aggie, like even like the first time he suggests there's bugs,
yeah,
all he has to do is like pinch it between his fingers, and she's like half asleep, right? And
yeah.
he's like, are you crazy? You don't see that,
yeah.
You know? And what is half just like appeasing him so that they can just get back to bed, and half her just like gullibility, you know? She says she does see it, right? But like you said, we don't see a single bug in this entire movie. Yeah. And then when he brings the microscope into play, it's like an attempt for him to sort of legitimize it. Like, see, we can see it. Here's proof, you know?
Yeah. And it's just his blood swirling around on a slide.
I think you probably at most see like the color red, you know? But then later he has Agnes look at it, and she looks and she goes, another really
that is
funny
another
line.
funny line that I didn't write down. Go ahead, say it.
Where she looks and she goes, millions.
Yeah. Yeah, that's after he violently pulls out a couple teeth to be like,
Yeah.
the egg sacs are in my teeth, Agnes. Like,
Yeah.
aren't you listening to me? Basically. He's bleeding profusely out of his mouth. And when he cracks it and puts on the slide, he's like, like has to back up on the wall. But millions is great.
Yeah.
But later on in the very same scene with Goss, actually, when RC comes in and Goss has now left the scene, after they've had the discussion of like, actually, we've been to see a doctor, Peter. That just that just fuels his paranoia even more. He's
Yeah.
like, who have you been talking to? You can't trust anyone.
Yeah, he's
because
like,
they're
are you
listening.
fucking me right now?
Yeah. Are you fucking me right now? He's like, they got to you. And he like throws the medicine across the room. So he like bullies Agnes into being like, no. He's like, RC, like, shut the fuck up when I'm talking to her, basically. And he's like, the line is, so are there bugs or aren't they? And she only gets out one word. Some. Like, she's still hesitant about it. She wants to believe her like actual friend and the doctor that they just went and saw.
Right.
But he is pressuring her in the moment and like dangling this like tenuous connection that they have.
Yeah.
And predicating it on this crazy idea that I have.
Yeah. If you say you don't see bugs, we're fucking done.
Yeah.
You know?
He says, so are there bugs or aren't they? Some. No, not some bugs. Don't give me some bugs. The presence of bugs or the absence of bugs. The sign outside says vacancies or no vacancies. It doesn't say possibility of vacancies. Now, do we have bugs or not? And then she does say, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is like the final. There's no going back from that.
It's such a sad line. You know?
The way she. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. She's chosen a side, you know?
Yeah. And then she ends up slapping RC at that moment. And not in that moment, but in that scene. And now she's fully in his corner because he's had like a little episode, right? Like a public episode in front of RC. And then she slaps RC to be like, you're trying to take away like the only good thing I have in my life.
Right.
How dare you? I never want to see you again. Kind of thing.
And it's sad because RC was the only good thing in her life.
Right. After the millions, really, because we do a cut to a very dramatic change.
Yeah.
In the reality or the surrealness of the movie, right? This line is an event has already happened in the ending, and Agnes is like freaking out about like trying to make sense of like the origin of the bugs or something like that. And he says he's standing up, shirtless, completely covered in blood, like with knife cuts everywhere.
Yeah.
The room is awash in bug lamp glow, and it's completely covered floor to ceiling in tinfoil. Mm-hmm. And he goes, "Think, Agnes, what don't you know?" I don't know. Think, Agnes, what don't you know? Is such a powerfully funny line to insert in this insanity spiral that we're watching play out. Mm-hmm. So it's a little seed of comedy put right in there, which is just we haven't mentioned this, but wonderful writing from Tracy Letts.
Oh yeah.
In this very, very great character work. And I see why Friedkin was so attracted to the material here.
Yeah. I also love a movie that can sustain a story. It's basically a one-room piece. You know what I mean? And it can sustain tension the entire time of the movie. But yeah, what don't you know? Like she is so tragically caught in this delusion. She's basically begging him to tell her what to think at this point.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. That's exactly what's going on. Because we're going to rewind just a little bit to really truly set up, because this is like the middle of that scene. The scene that we're witnessing play out is after a man has started knocking on the motel door, whose name we only vaguely know from RC, because she has dropped a little knowledge, being like, some guy's coming around asking about you, Peter. I think you know him, Dr. Sweet. And he's like, yeah, what'd he tell you? Kind of thing. That's pretty good, Michael Shannon. And so we know of the existence of a Dr. Sweet. We don't know what he looks like, what he sounds like, but there is a guy that arrives at this hotel claiming to be Dr. Sweet.
Yeah.
Dr. Philip Sweet. And like Goss busts through the door with a flashlight and like pins Agnes down and is like, come on, let us in. And he's like, I'm Dr. Philip Sweet. I'm here. I want to get Peter. I want to help Peter, basically. Now, Goss, like, you need to go. Like, leave us be. Like, let the professional work kind of thing. And he does. And that's so odd. Well, maybe it's like, we could chalk it up to like a man telling another man what to do kind of thing. So he just listens to him kind of thing. But every other time Goss has been told to fuck off, he's like, oh, I'll leave when I feel like it.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So I thought that was odd. And I think it leads credence to William Friedkin's personal theory about this whole end sequence, which I learned from the audio commentary, is that even to this day, or when he recorded the audio commentary, he's not completely convinced that Dr. Sweet is real. He may be a figment of their shared delusion.
Okay.
And I was like, that's fascinating. Didn't think about that. Let me watch the scene play out. Oh my God, he's right. So I had a personal millions as I'm watching this after he dropped that bombshell on me. But I'm fully convinced that Dr. Sweet is not real in this moment. And that...
But he interacts with Goss, though.
Is that version of Goss real, though? Because he doesn't interact. He doesn't...
Are you trying to like bug me right now?
A little bit. He only shows up randomly.
You're like William Friedkin says Sweet isn't real. And I'm like, you know what? I never thought about it like that.
Yeah. He only shows up after like that weird little pizza moment, after they've already come together and like solidified what it is they need to do next.
Yeah.
Right? That's when Goss shows up. And he doesn't enter the room. He's just on the other side of the door, banging it down, and then Peter like staples his hand with a staple gun or something. And that's the last we see of him. Really.
Yeah.
Between, hey, Agnes let us in, and busting down the door, it's the only time we see Goss. So I'm leading towards maybe Dr. Sweet is not real here, because she talks with him for an extended period of time without any interference from Peter.
Yeah, he's what, like in the bathroom or something?
Yeah.
I do want to know what him smoking the crack pipe is all about.
It is. I will say that William Friedkin also calls it a crack pipe, and it is fun to hear William Friedkin say crack pipe. Yeah, he hits that crack pipe with them. Like, what is that about? I think that is like maybe her own drug use, like factoring into this delusion.
Like maybe she can believe him if he
plays ball,
smokes some crack
yeah.
too.
Yeah. It's like, hey, I'm one of you.
Yeah, he's not a square.
Exactly.
He's not one of the fucking, he's willing to go outside the law,
Yeah. And what else, if I may quiz you very briefly, what do we learn from Dr. Sweet that relates to Agnes that we're like, okay, how do you know that?
Well, he knows about Lloyd, and he says, if you help me with Peter, I'll help you find Lloyd. Which to me is, I'm thoroughly in camp. Sweet is a real person.
Okay. You're entitled to that wrong opinion. No, no. It's totally.
You're not gonna fucking bug me.
No. You're totally entitled to that reading.
Because if he did interact with Goss could have told him about Lloyd.
Right.
Maybe because he is like he is like a psychologist, right? So he's like, what can I use to level with her?
Yeah,
so
as like a negotiator.
Right, exactly. And he kind of, he understands that part of Peter's delusion is that he believes Sweet is this doctor in this secret government experiment. So he's like...
But nefariously so.
Yes. Yeah. And so since he understands that, he knows that like if he goes in there and says, no, I'm not part of the secret government experiment, they're going to be like, fuck you, you're full of shit. So he legitimizes their delusions by saying, yeah, that's actually what I am. And I have the power the government resources to find your son.
Yeah.
What now?
Yeah. Also, I'm not going to lie to you. They're watching you.
Yeah.
Is something he says. And that always struck me as weird. I'm like, dude, why would you tell a paranoid like you're being watched for sure? Unless that is like, okay, that is a legitimate tactic for dealing with.
It's a manipulation tactic. He's walking into a room covered in fucking tinfoil.
Yeah.
He knows what kind of person he's dealing
He
with.
walks into a room covered in tinfoil and says, yo, you gonna hit this shit? But yeah, so like there's those little aspects that I'm like, it feels like it's her, the last vestige of her like better self, like her, the good
Yeah.
that has now been supplanted by this evil that Peter has fed.
Yeah.
Calling out to her to be like, here's your out.
Right. Which is then killed by Peter.
Yeah. And Peter goes, hey, who the fuck's that guy?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just instantly starts stabbing. Not instantly, right? But he does have a knife. And Dr. Sweet's like, Peter, he looks devastated. He's like, Peter, you look so worse for wear. And then starts prepping like a needle to
sedate him.
Sedate him. Yeah. But doesn't get that far because Peter just stabs the crap out of him.
And kills that last vestige of hope that she had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
I can indulge in your bug fantasies a little bit.
just a little bit. Just a little bit. Also, do you hear that? So then, yeah, he kills Dr. Sweet. She's freaking out because someone just got killed in her motel. And he's like, no, Agnes, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
He's a synthetic. He's a robot. Like, they want you to freak out, basically.
Yeah.
Like taste this, basically. I think he dips his hands into the blood.
He
He's
fucking digs his hand
oh,
into his
it's
body.
synthetic. Oh, crap. Like, I wouldn't be able to suss that out.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, he's like, these fucking amateurs.
Yeah. And then what Friedkin says of like that spiel he starts delivering about like the CIA, like all these things that like we've taken for granted or these lies that we've believed is like every paranoid delusion conspiracy that's taken place in the last 50 years in America.
Yeah.
Basically, which are not without any grain of truth. And that's what makes them so believable in a way, or like so many people fall victim to these things. And then like it consumes them
Yeah.
is because there are grains of truth in there.
They're kind of fake explanations for real problems.
Yeah. Real tragedies.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're easy because they're fun stories to tell, you know.
And I'm glad
It's
you
more
say
colorful than the truth, I
Right.
guess is what I'm getting at. Yeah.
Exactly. And I'm glad you said that phrase, stories to tell.
Yeah.
Because after he gets out that spiel about CIA, blah, 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 about what they did to him, what's been going on with him, he basically goes, now I need you to get on my level, basically. So like, what did they do to you? Like, I want to hear it from you.
Yeah.
How we got in this mess to begin with. Like, where did the bugs come from? Is I think like really the question that needs answering.
He's fucking incepting her.
Yeah.
You know?
He's like, that's what starts off the think, Agnes, what don't you know?
Yeah.
And she's like, and she has to like mad lib and make up and tell herself this story about how, like the origin of the bug and like it came from you. And he's like, no, it couldn't be that. Basically, he keeps like, like bumpering her, like if she's a bowling ball in this lane, like trying to go into the gutter, and he's like, no, let's keep you on the path here. And she eventually stumbles upon like, okay, Lloyd, they took Lloyd, and who are they? Who would want to take him? Who would want to hurt me? Goss, Jerry took him. And of course they never told me about that because I've told this to the police so many times, but Goss got to them. And that's why I don't have my son, because they're working together, basically. And then there's just this about everything like explaining like the origin of the bug and like how Peter's the drone and she's the queen, and these came about because they had sex and they mated, and that's where the bugs live within them. The bugs need them. The bugs work for them, but they truly work for them, the shadow government. So what we need to do is take care of the bugs before they get out and hurt other people, because they're tied to us through blood, because I am the super mother bug, right? And he's like, yeah, it's all that.
Yeah.
You're right. And that's truly there's no going back from this. That's when the room starts to shake. That's when Goss shows up, and then gets deflected with the stapler to the hand. They hear and they see the bugs react to this revelation that they have an origin story now.
Yeah.
And they have a directive to kill the bugs, because the tinfoil is not to keep some things from coming in. It's to keep the bugs' transmissions from going out, from being used for nefarious purposes. Friedkin says they frame their whole thesis around the idea that they're doing this like altruistically to save others.
Right.
They have to kill themselves.
Yeah.
So
the delusion is usually based in I am inherently good. I'm the hero of the story, actually.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is so tragic to watch them then take these canisters of gasoline and just douse the motel, and then each other. They strip down. Peter pours the gasoline over them, and I wrote this down as like lines worth mentioning, because I never noticed, like, they're spouting nonsense to each other, but they are in sentences that we can understand. Mm-hmm. But then during these final moments, he pours the gasoline on them. Peter says, "Find the drone," pours it on himself. "Find the queen," pours it on Agnes, and then she says, "Baby bug water." He says, "Feeding you." She says, "No, feeding baby bug. Skin crown breeding eggs. I love you. I love you." And then it lights up. And I went, I've seen this movie like maybe 5 times.
Yeah.
I have never noticed the nonsense that they're saying to each other after the gasoline gets poured on, because we do hone in on that.
You're very caught up in the insanity of it.
Yeah. And then we dial into what we understand, which is, I love you. I love you. We get it.
Do they say I love you? I love you?
Mm-hmm.
I've never heard.
You never
that.
heard that either?
Yeah. No.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That we're so caught up in the madness, the insanity of it all, that if you really listen into what they're saying, it's nonsense. These are nonsense words. Skin crown breeding eggs.
Yeah.
Okay. Rub Dean's head and Wayne under Newton, kind of stuff. That I'm just like, okay, what if this is how they've been talking to each other for like weeks?
Yeah.
It's sad. It's a very downer this is the most downer ending.
Yeah.
Of all time.
Especially her, right? Because as bought into the delusion as she has been up until this point, she can still recognize the fucking flame that's about to engulf her,
Yeah. Which maybe ties into possession just a little bit. That little yelp before the dog dies because it's seen something real.
Possession and Bug. Why these two movies together as a double feature?
I mean, they do come from different eras of cinema, really.
Cultures too.
Culturally, it's very interesting to see what preoccupies. You said he was Polish.
Polish, yeah.
Right. What occupies like a Polish filmmaker versus an American filmmaker, such as himself, and like at different times in their career, because like that was like the beginning of Zulawski.
Yeah, it was towards, I wouldn't say the beginning, but because he had made, a handful of features, but he was younger, at a younger point in his life. And then, I don't think he did go on to make more films until his death in 2016. But nothing as celebrated as Possession, but where were we going with that?
Why these two films?
Yeah.
But then, the stories themselves kind of lend each other to comparison for, these tragic,
Toxic
relationships that play out.
Yeah.
In very personal ways, through this layer of metaphor and symbolism and all that.
In Possession, you have a couple who are not understanding each other whatsoever.
Yeah.
And then in Bug, you have a couple where one person's worldview, as Friedkin would say, is like taking over another person's worldview,
Right.
So I think you have kind of themes of like domination, where in Possession, Anna is fighting the domination that Mark is trying to impose on her, this domestic domination.
Right.
You have in Bug, Michael Shannon utterly dominating Ashley Judd's character.
Right. Like he is Michael Shannon is like, oh, you think you misery? Like, I've been experimented on my whole life, kind of thing. Like, I've been to war. Like, he doesn't outright say it, but it's like, you lost a kid, kind of thing. Like, oh, people have treated you bad. Like, then you don't even know what they're up to and what they've done to me. Kind of thing.
Yeah. You think you have it bad.
Yeah. The king of misery, the mother bug, and the king of misery. Really.
So yes, Possession and Bug. If you want to have a really fucking bad night, go watch these two movies back to back.
Feel bad double feature. Here we go.
But no, they're also they're expertly made films at that. Again, Possession's cinematography. That's the first thing I think I fell in love with the movie was, it's kind of a crazy movie, but then I thought this director is a madman, he's playing by his own fucking rules.
Yeah.
And then Friedkin, the GOAT, right? And you got Tracy Letts writing. They're just good movies.
Yeah. Good characters and great delicious like themes to savor, to pour over, to theorize about. Like as you've heard, I have tons of theories. I don't know if any of them are true, but it's fun. These are movies to like sink your teeth into, and have conversations about. And I think at the end of the day, that's what makes them good movies. That's what makes good movies good, or like what people are drawn to when they see a good movie and want to recommend it to someone. Is like, I need to talk about it. Please watch it so we can talk about it.
That is exactly how this episode came about, because I was like, I saw this movie called Possession. I need you to also see it because I need to know what you think about it.
Yeah. And I'm like, that ending? It's all in his head, dude. He's dying, dude.
That was your theory for both of these movies, actually.
Right. Well, a specific character was a shared delusion. Oh yeah, no. Actually, no. Friedkin does say that. Who knows? Maybe all that stuff that happens at the end in the motel doesn't play out that way.
Right.
But like their brains are so fried that is the best way to visually represent what is going on
Yeah.
internally.
So yeah, go watch these movies. Find a buddy to knock on the shoulder and be like, "What did you think of that?"
Pretty weird, huh? But yeah, those are our 2 certified bangers for this episode. Question for the listeners: are you subscribed? If you answered yes, then great job. You're our favorite. For everyone else, you too can become our favorite. All you got to do is follow the podcast on your platform of choice and subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's just that easy. Just those 2 things, and you're on the pulse. You'll know right away when new episodes are available. So, as always, guys, thank you for listening to PhantasmaCast. We'll see you at the next showing.